Merci. Merci, the program director. May I recognize the second Vice President of Pan-African Parliament, Honorable Ashbe Gayo. May I recognize the fourth Vice President, Honorable Francois Ango Ndotome. The Chairperson of the Committee on Education, Science, Technology and Innovation, Honorable Amina Ado Souma. Our members of Pan-African Parliament, or the MPs, and I want to salute you. If I were in the army barracks, I would actually do this, to say I salute you that you are here this morning. You are true parliamentarians committed to serving the nation. Some may not be in this room for very good reasons. Some have traveled, we know where they are. Of course, some we don't know. That's why I salute all of you present this morning, our members of parliament. I recognize the acting coordinator of the African Union International Center for Girls and Women's Education in Africa, Mrs. Simone Yankee Otara. I recognize the distinguished invited guests in this room, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. It's on behalf of Pan-African Parliament, I want to say we are really grateful to the Union, to the African Union, African Union International Center for Girls and Women's Education in Africa, CIEFFA, and our committee at PAP, the Committee on Education, Science, Technology and Innovation, for organizing this workshop. This workshop is to discuss and put renewed impetus to energize the issue of education of women and girls. That is the purpose why we are gathered this morning, to renew the impetus, to discuss issues around the education of women and girls. That's why we are gathered this morning. The other 2 days, we were looking at the trade. Today, we are looking at education. That's within the mandate of Pan-African Parliament. Now, before I go very far to say why education is important, may I remind you of our late icon, President of the Republic of South Africa, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, who said, and I quote, "Education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor. It is through education that the son of a mine worker can become the head of that mine. And it is through education that a child of a farm worker can become the president of a great nation. So it is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates a person from another." End of quote. That is President Nelson Mandela. So President Nelson Mandela's words demonstrate that education is very important in the advancement of any society or persons. It is even more crucial in lifting the marginalized in their society, like women and girls. You are all aware, honorable members, our experts, the Bureau, that socialism may have said some things that were seen by capitalism as a bit weak, but socialism had, Karl Marx and others had very good lessons for humanity. The issue of class society, which that language has disappeared nowadays, but they used to talk of class or classless society, and marginalization. Education, if not well understood and well practiced, it is one vehicle for creation of a class society where some people have no access to education, others have. Those who have access to education advance even more and more. And those that have no education go backwards and backwards, and the gap becomes even wider. And for us as members of parliament, these are issues that we should always fight for. That education should close gaps rather than widen them. And I think Committee on Education, this is one of major assignments we should also give you. That as a parliament, we need to confront our member states as to whether their education systems are widening classes and marginalizing others, and only a few elite privileged continue to be educated, whether in your country, they end up in America, they end up all over the world. Yet others can't even go to a village school. And I think these are some of the issues as parliamentarians we should confront. And education, fortunately, education, if given to everybody, gives confidence. When you're educated, you don't feel inferior. That confidence is very important for you to fit in society. Wherever you go, you feel that you're also a human being. And you can also fit there. And you can tell them, not just being told. So it also promotes gender equality. And even women do not feel inferior because they can see that in class. You all know you went to school. There are many that you beat in class in terms when you wrote examinations. There are many who, some of them could not even pass any mathematics test. Some of you were even good, even better in science than men. But it is through education that you realize your potential, that you don't feel that you are backward. Now, yes, it is a vehicle for empowerment for girls and women. We empower. This is another issue that we should not just use words like empowerment. What do we mean by empowering? We need empowering, first of all, means that we give equal opportunities. We empower through education. When they are educated, they are also given equal opportunities. In PAP, in the Pan-African Parliament, you have always to take an audit of how many females or women are chairpersons of this and that. Fortunately, this committee that has mobilized us to be here today, as you saw, is the head, the chairperson is a woman. So when we now preach, it's a woman, and she can stand up again. Stand up again. I want them to see you again. Stand up there. She's the chair. She's the chair. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Sit down. The chair of the Committee on Education, Science, Technology, and Mina, Souma. So here as PAP, we have done very well. We have scored some good marks here. That it is by giving opportunities, educate and then give the opportunities. Not just educate and then you don't give them opportunities. That you empower. And so empowerment is about opportunity, it's about knowing opportunities and doing. They also have to be empowering, is to let them do, not just educate and then talk about empowerment. So here we are doing well, whether they are girls or women. And the World Bank says that when girls have access to education, they are more likely to become leaders in their communities, that they can start their own businesses and can make informed decisions about their health and their well-being. Now, even in Africa, we do have proverbs that speak to that. And I quote this proverb from Africa, which says, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Close quote. Yeah, women, can you clap at least? This is for you. This is for you. That when you educate a man, you are educating an individual. But if you do so educate a woman, you educate a nation. This is very true. So as parliamentarians, as Pan-African Parliament, a continental parliament, we are very, very pleased that we are here this morning participating in the advancement of the Africa Educates Here. We are very, very happy. We are very, very happy with those from the African Union and our own committee. We are very happy that we have brought this matter to this chamber to at least debate, discuss, and as members of parliament, as we debate, we discuss, we need now to discern, we need to see certain issues that are necessary for some legal reform, that are necessary for some policy measures to ensure that we implement what is called the Dakar Declaration. And the Dakar Declaration is an instrument which was adopted by African ministers of education in June 2022 in Dakar. The declaration is calling on AU member states, the states that you as members of parliament represent. And that declaration is saying member states should domesticate the Africa Educate Here campaign. There is a campaign which I believe during the discussions, this campaign will be unpacked. People understand what is this campaign about. And our duty is to take the message to our national parliaments, ensure that we have the proper policy framework to implement and undertake this campaign, and even the legal frameworks. As you are aware, we had moved a bit advanced in terms of women and girl education. But when COVID struck, COVID disrupted and undermined some of the advancements because schools were closed down. And even the capacity of parents or guardians now to fund their children for education, the resources became limited. So we started going back again to saying, okay, in view of limited resources, the girl child, you end at O level, A level, let the male one continue into university. So it is therefore imperative that after COVID, we gather in the manner that we have done this morning to say, look, can we reflect again about education in view of COVID because of the constraints around the economic capacities to fund education. We may go backwards and start saying only a male children can go to school. So let's go back and say, no, that is not good. And that in our own homesteads, we bring back the girl child to only working within the house, which is bad. As legislators, we should remind ourselves that it is our duty to oversight. By oversighting that, the Dakar Declaration, what have member states done? Have they moved forward? To what extent have they moved forward? And then we should pass the laws that we should pass and make sure that in the budgets, in our national budgets, when we pass the national budgets, we should make sure that we push budgets, pass budgets that cater also for the girl and women education. In that so doing, we'll be promoting the campaign, the Africa Education campaign. We as Pan-African Parliament are happy to say we are part of this campaign in full. We are part of this campaign, and our MPs, after this workshop, one of the take-homes that will chair Amina is that we'll prepare a 2-page package or 3 that will give each MP out of this workshop to take back home to their own national parliaments and introduce this same subject and say, please, Africa Education campaign, we go back and do so. We don't know what is happening there. Anyway, we are also happy and proud to say it's very, very swift. We didn't wait for too long. It means some people were waiting close by. Thank you very much. But to finish off now, within 1 minute, I'm concluding. I've just mentioned the issue of the model law on gender equality by Pan-African Parliament in order to support Africa Educates campaign. And in closing, I would like to reaffirm the commitment of Pan-African Parliament to partner with the CIEFFA to empower the women and girls of Africa through education so that we can attain meaningful and sustainable socio-economic development. Sante sana, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, shukran, obrigado.